Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year from Kiss.
Feliz Navidad, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas from Kiss.
Ho, ho, ho! I'm wishing everybody a really Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year.
Someone stole Santa? That does not rock!
What's going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another episode of 25 Days of KISSmas, where every day leading up to KISSmas, I will be reviewing and discussing every Kiss studio album plus more. For the 16th episode, I will be reviewing the Animalize album from 1984. There's no need in dissecting the various issues Kiss had with Vinnie Vincent, whether it falls on playing guitar solos on stage for far too long, his erratic behavior, or the contractual issues that legally never made him an official member of Kiss, despite contributing heavily to both Creatures and Lick It Up. The band secured a Shredder-type replacement with lead guitarist Mark St. John, but needless to say, it would only be a continuation of the band's ongoing issues. So let's dig into the album. Side 1, Track 1, I've Had Enough, Into the Fire. Paul got back together with co-writer Desmond Child, who was partly responsible for I Was Made for Lovin' You, and Paul also played bass on the track, which was indicative of where Gene's mindset was at during this time frame, which I'll get into later. It's a fast-paced opener that was a part of the early portion of the Animalize tour setlist. Track 2, Heaven's on Fire, another Paul and Desmond Child track that was very much an exercise in crafting an anthem in the most simplistic terms. The song ended up being released as the first single from the album, which charted rather well within the US, and paired with a music video, the only one that Mark St. John appeared in, that received heavy viewage on MTV. The success of the Animalize album solely was due to this song. This was another one of the non-makeup era songs to survive in setlists once the band had put the makeup back on, and ultimately became a show staple. Track 3, Burn Bitch Burn. This Gene track started out as a song called So Many Girls, So Little Time, which he gave to a band he was producing at the time called Keel, and the band would do the song on their Right to Rock album in 1985. Gene recycled some of the lyrics for this song, and it was originally titled Burn Witch Burn. While this was a particular favorite of Eric Carr's to play live, it only lasted the first show of the Animalize tour in the live set, but overall, this is one of Gene's most head-scratching songs lyrically, with poetry such as, "Wanna put my log in your fireplace." Track 4, Get All You Can Take. This is a collab between Paul and Mitch Wiseman, who you may remember sang background vocals on Gene's 1978 solo album and starred in Beatlemania. With its Zeppelin-esque groove, this is a track that Paul was particularly fond of, as he did play the guitar solo since Mark didn't provide the right feel, and just like Burn Bitch Burn, it only survived the first show of the Animalize tour in the live set. Track 5, Lonely is the Hunter. Another Gene track where he also felt that Mark St. John wasn't providing a sufficient guitar solo, so Bruce Kulick was asked to lay one down. And funny enough, after Bruce laid down a solid solo that would appear on the album, Paul apparently told him to not cut his hair, which perhaps was foreshadowing what was to come in the imminent future. Now we're going to flip the album over to Side 2, Track 6, Under the Gun. This initially started out in a rehearsal studio with Eric jamming on this double bass-driven beat. Eric suggested some chords for Paul to play in the accented section before the chorus, and then Paul, along with Desmond Child, rounded off the song. Eric does contribute some noticeable background vocals during the song's bridge, and Plasmatics bassist Jean Bouvier plays on the track. This song also lasted in the live set up until around the time of the Asylum tour. Track 7, Thrills in the Night. Speaking of Jean Bouvier, he and Paul wrote this track, which would become the album's second single. A conceptual music video was planned for the single, but it ultimately was abandoned, and all that exists as proof are various photos taken from the video shoot. Instead, the song received a live video treatment, mainly consisting of footage from the show filmed in Detroit for the Animalize Live Uncensored video. The fact that this was the second single from the album is the reason why it was only played a handful of times and disappeared shortly after not making much of an impact. Track 8, While the City Sleeps. Gene has a crack with collaborating with Mitch Wiseman on this track, which was also released as a single in Spain. Track 9, Murder in High Heels. This album closer is another Gene and Mitch Wiseman collaboration, and the second of tracks that Bruce Kulick played on, contributing some riffs, but not substantial enough to earn a co-writing credit. As for where this album stands in my KISS catalog ranking, I would put Animalize at the number 16 spot. This album did remarkably well commercially, earning platinum status primarily due to the success of Heaven's on Fire, but this was kind of the start of them merging with the glam metal scene that was going on at the time, and basically chasing the trend. It's starting with this album where you see where Gene's priorities had shifted since he had gone Hollywood, starring in films like Runaway, so KISS was very much Paul's baby, despite the fact that both Paul and Gene would get equal material on the records. Paul's tracks on this album are decent, but then you have Gene's tracks, which are completely phoned in. You go from writing things like Ladies' Room to something like Burn Bitch Burn. Yikes. So there you guys go. That is the 16th episode of the 25 Days of KISSmas series. Stay tuned tomorrow for the 17th episode, and you can already guess what comes next. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.
Treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow.